Greetings. I thought I'd make a chess video on chess.com, just simply battling their engine. And you can set to different levels. You've probably seen several of my videos where I've done the different personalities, but sometimes it's fun just to do their engine and set at different levels. I did a few bots that were rated around 1500, and they were super popular compared to some of my other chess videos. So I thought, well, maybe the audience wants to see, this level. So that's what I've done here. I battled the 1500, ended after 48 moves in this position, and the computer says I played at a 89%, and the bot played at a 74%. But I played this game and wanted to show it specifically because there's a lot of good fundamentals in this game that I'm going to go over, traps to watch out for, different things to watch out for, some traps that I laid out, some things that I saw, and hopefully that can help the audience. It helps me to review these games. And so having said that, let's go through this game, and if you hang with me till the end, I think you're going to see some good stuff here that could help you, especially if you're struggling around the 1500 range. So let's check that out. Okay, so I played the black pieces, and my opponent, the chess engine at chess.com, played the white pieces at 1500 level. And so let's get to it here. Do the Sicilian type opening. Now in the opening, just remember to try to control the center is the biggest takeaway. You don't have to worry about memorizing all these openings at this point. And I don't even remember, a lot of the names and stuff. I do recognize a lot of the patterns and the different variations, but honestly, I don't remember all the names. It's too much. I'm sure there's, well, I know there's people way smarter than me that can do that, but yeah, I'm not after that. I always like this line. Computer says it's a little bit of an inaccuracy. Should have pushed this pawn up to the e6. But this is what I felt comfortable with. At 1500, a person should experiment with different things, but I just wanted to stick with what I was comfortable with and show some basic ideas here. Okay, so now I've got a free pawn here, and I'm always a little leery to take a free pawn when it's just hanging out there, because usually that's part of the trap, and so I'm just a little cautious about that. But okay, so one thing to note is that so now I am up a pawn. I have one minor piece developed. It's off the back rank, and my opponent has the queen just sitting in the middle of the board, which is usually not a good idea, because one piece by itself, even the queen, can't do a whole lot. There are a few traps to watch out for when you see something like this, but mostly you don't want to just get your queen just sitting out there and start, attacking with just your queen. A lot of people do that. That's usually a mistake. But okay, so let's keep this going here. So again, I'm still just eyeing this, trying to get things going. So here I got another minor piece developed, and that helps me control the center. Okay, and so I'm controlling a lot of squares here. Okay, so let's keep this going. I'm trying to make this a quick video, which isn't always easy for me. And so I thought I'd set up, here you see when I look at my weakness, this bishop is blocked in, which makes it pretty useless. So I was trying to think the quickest way to get it out there, and that was to set up this little Fanchetto situation where I basically bring the bishop up here and try to control all this, and that pays dividends, as you will see here shortly. Okay, so now I'm thinking, I'm eyeing this queen, but the queen can in return take this bishop, so I have a little plan to use my pieces here, which you'll see. Okay, so the reason why this was a mistake from my opponent is because you see my opponent has two major pieces lined up, queen and the rook, and with my bishop eyeing down all the way. So I was pretty surprised at 1500. I think 1500 is a very respectable ELO. So I was surprised to see that the engine at 1500 allowed that to happen. And so you'll see where that little situation has now paid dividends, because this knight is now protecting this bishop, and the computer has to decide, you want to move that, you want to lose that queen. If not, you're going to have to move it and then lose your rook. So that's the danger of lining things up like that, especially when there's a bishop, your opponent's bishop eyeing, or any other piece. Okay, so queen gets out of the way, and then there's the rook. So I was pretty happy with that. So I bring my knight back to its favorite position, or at least a very comfortable position for the knight. So let's see here. So okay, so I do have a piece under attack. I am up on some material, but let's I thought, I better deal with this. I'd love to get this bishop out of here and back in the game somewhere, but first I feel like I need to deal with this situation here first. So that's what I do. Okay, so now my knight's under attack, and I just bring it out, attack the queen. It is defended with the bishop. Oops, sorry, defended with the bishop. Okay, so yep, there's that. Okay, so yeah, I was in check there. Okay, and if I use my bishop, then my knight is hanging. Okay, and if the queen comes here, it could, if I ever move this queen, it's lined up. So you're always trying to think about future ideas, and so this, I don't want the queen to go there and take my knight. So I'm going to get out of check using my queen. And so this is where my opponent says, okay, well, I'm going to defend the queen. So, and I was surprised this happened, but it's not a bad move or anything. But at this point, I will do the exchange, and it messes up my opponent's pawn structure, which I'm very excited about. So if you get a chance to mess up your opponent's pawn structure, that's usually a good thing. Sometimes not, but anyway. So, and I don't like having a pawn in my territory, but I felt like I could comfortably deal with that. So, okay. So, and now my knight is under attack. And so let's see here. Okay, so we do a little bit of an exchange there. Okay, now one thing I want to point out is I'm up material. I've got two major pieces and two minor pieces. My opponent has one major, one minor. So I'm looking to exchange pieces because I just want to whittle this down now to an end game. I'm up 7 points. So, and the analysis, the computer has me ahead by 10.4. So I'm just looking to whittle this down to a good solid end game is what I'm after now. And so this is what I wanted to show you. It may look like I made a mistake, but the computer says, hey, that was actually an excellent move. What's going on? If the pawn takes, yes, I do lose that knight, but I've got a relative pin on this pawn, so I would get that pawn. I'd pick up this pawn. I can also bring the rook right up here. So, a minor piece is worth 3. A pawn is not a piece, but it's still worth 1 point. So if I lose my knight but pick up all these pawns, it's an even trade. And then I'm still up in so much material, and I'm threatening this knight. So, you know, things are looking good. I could even hop up here and threaten both at the same time if I sacrifice my knight to pick up these pawns. So this is why the computer's not taking back. The computer sees this. Like I said, 1500 is pretty respectable. The computer sees that and says, nope, we're not going to do that. So I have to think of other ways. And so I just kind of hopped around there, took out that pawn. Okay, and now I finally got those pawns cleared out. And this bishop is causing trouble for this knight because the knight can't go there, can't go there, and so, you know, it can go here, but so that bishop is in a nice spot causing a lot of problems for it. So, okay, let's see here. Keep this going here. And yeah, so I sometimes when you're playing chess, it's like, well, I really don't know what to do here. This rook is not doing me any good just sitting there. I don't see even any future ideas for it. Maybe, you know, I could just do something like this, but I'd probably just capture with the pawn. So I really don't have anything going on. So I bring it over here to this C file, which is opened. Now I know there's pieces here, but there's not, you know, like this would be a semi-open file because there's one pawn, and then this would be a closed file. And I know there's pieces here, but it will be opened up. So, so that's why I decided this was a good place. Looks like the computer said I made the right choice. So when you don't know what else to do, look for an open or a semi-file open file to put your piece on. Okay, so with that knight out of the way, so my bishop was under attack, but by simply moving this knight, now it's defended by this rook, and I'm attacking the rook back. So that's why I went there. Okay, this bishop is defended with this pawn. All right. So now I'm looking to do an exchange, like I said, and there it is. So, like I said, I'm just trying to whittle this down to a more comfortable end game. And again, I'll take another exchange. The reason why I keep exchanging down is because now my opponent has no pieces, and I have one major, one minor. Okay, and there are some pawns here, but it's 3 against 5. So, and I want to show you something coming up here real soon about cutting off the king so that you can promote. Okay, so I don't want to take any chances. I wasn't just going to lose a pawn. Okay, so yeah, I did think about doing this, but I felt like it doesn't really go anywhere. So especially for what I have in mind. Okay, and that's what I was finally looking for. Is I wanted to get this rook. I want to cut off my opponent's king, and so the king says, "Hey, I don't want to get cut off here." So, so what I do is, okay, the reason why I brought this knight here is to protect this rook. So now, this situation can sit here all day because the king can't come here and take this. So now I'm free to promote this pawn, and that's what I was after because that king is cut off. And so now you'll see the king wants to come over there, and gosh darn it, just can't do it. And so now there's my queen, and it's in check. My opponent's in check. And so I want to use my 2 major pieces and create a box for my opponent and just make it smaller and smaller. And so that's what I do. So I own all this, I own all this, and so my opponent has a small range to work with. Okay, and so now I own all this and this, so you can see my opponent just has a very small box to work with. And now one more move and it's mate, and there it is. So I hope that helps you. The biggest takeaway is just try to control the center, develop your pieces, get them out there, and watch out for traps. Try to notice things like two major pieces lined up, like I showed you about in the mid game. If you don't know what else to do with your pieces, just try to do something that, like when I had that blocked in bishop, I set up that nice little Fanchetto move, and think about things like that. Is there an open file? Do you have a rook on the bottom rank? Try to connect your rooks. Try to set them on an open file where there's no pawn. Look for things like that. It's those little moves like that that'll help you. So I tried to make this under 10 minutes. It's obviously too late for that. Excuse me, but I hope that helps. And check out some of my other videos. I really have a good time with a lot of these, and hopefully they can help the audience, and they certainly help me to go through them as well. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.